Hi, so it's been a really long time since I've made an update or talked about my work in the past year. Moving back to Greece was definitely something completely unexpected, mainly because um, I just thought I was going to finish my studies and work abroad and discover my options over there. But what was great was moving back to Greece for almost a year actually gave me an opportunity to understand how the entertainment industry works for actors. So in Greece, even though theater is a big thing, there's not a lot of government investment on the film industry, and for that reason, options are very limited. Most actors either conduct theater work, which unfortunately at this time is very difficult due to the global pandemic, so a lot of theaters have closed. And this has led a lot of actors, especially well-known actors, who had to leave the theaters to find a way to get back on television. So what I did was look into casting agencies, and what I didn't realize was that casting agencies aren't actually casting agencies in Greece. They're actually very inactive. I ended up joining one where I joined independently, and they added me in for a casting call for a commercial, an English commercial that was meant to air in London, but unfortunately that got cancelled as well. And it was for an It's All Glad campaign. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And I did go to one particular casting in March, which was actually a fake casting. So what happens is they produce a lot of fake casting calls where casting directors bring actors in on commission, even though they've already pre-selected the roles for established actors. So this really leaves no room for theater and drama graduates and just about anyone really who wants to get involved in acting. And for this reason, it just explains not only why as a society we don't value the acting profession, but also why there's such a high level of unemployment, and particularly for actors in Greece. So what is very upsetting is that, at least from my experience, I don't have town representation, but what I do have is two managers. One is located in London and one is located in Greece. And my manager from London had called the casting director who wanted to make this offer for me. And she was annoyed by the fact that my manager called her. And eventually I ended up calling her myself just to talk about details for the work. I found it very suspicious that I was offered a protagonist role, mainly because they haven't seen any of my work. They didn't ask to see any of my acting work or my demo reel or anything of that sort. So I found it very suspicious, but nonetheless, I just wanted to clarify what the job description was, what the requirements were, and just to make sure for myself that I would be the best person to tell this story, the best actor for this role. And I clarified beforehand that I wasn't willing to do any kissing scenes or any sex scenes. And she got very offended by that. And she actually thought I was a diva for asking that requirement. I asked that if there are any nude scenes, because I ended up calling her back and saying that I would compromise for this role, mainly because I was at a time where I didn't really have any options, and I still don't have many options in Greece. So in Greece, they just expect actors to go running to any type of audition that comes their way. I did specify if I could have a no nudity clause, and I also asked if I would be able to get my tattoos covered on set, if there would be a good makeup team, a makeup artist team. And she did kind of change the conversation and said, oh, well, it's not a period drama, it's a modern film, and it's okay if your tattoos show. I know for a fact that the actress that ended up getting the job, she has a tattoo visible on her back, and they didn't remove the tattoo through Photoshop in the promotional pictures for the series. And I think in the series in itself, her tattoo isn't covered, which is okay. I do understand why that happens, but at the same time, tattoos are a reflection of the actor's personality, not the characters. And also because I do have quite a few tattoos, I'm very worried about my tattoos getting sexualized. It's something I'd like to avoid. But nonetheless, she didn't like me from the beginning. She got a bad impression. She delayed my casting. I specifically went to a pharmacy in the morning for a COVID rapid test. She made me wait for another 45 minutes to do a COVID rapid test at the studio, and my audition was at 3:30, but I ended up going in at 6:30, and for about 3 hours I was watching actors coming in, going out, coming in, going out, and I didn't receive my script until maybe 2.5 hours prior to my audition. And when I walked in with another actress. So something that I didn't realize was that it was actually a chemistry read. It wasn't an audition, like a one-person audition. So what happened was, the moment I walked in, she changed my script, gave me another scene. The scene that she initially gave me was a scene with the male protagonist, and she just lied and said that there were no men that day that could come in, which was a lie, because I had seen so many male actors go in throughout that day. Another thing I'd like to mention was that during the phone call, I did specify that if possible, I would be happy to go for a supporting role, just to avoid erotic scenes. And she said, we're not casting any supporting roles at the moment. And the girl that I auditioned with was auditioning for the role of my character's cousin. So there were a lot of lies that were fabricated, which I was very disappointed with. And to top it all, I didn't even get a rejection letter. So I was waiting for months. And then because I realized that they'd be filming in June, I kind of got my answer beforehand, and I decided to move to Cyprus around 3 months earlier, so around April, or end of March even, maybe. So I want to mention the following. Because I've been lied to by other casting directors who have produced fake casting calls and then have messaged me saying that, we're sorry, you got the impression that you were auditioning for this role, there are no roles available. I just want to mention that the most important thing is that regardless of whether you get a job or not, you know exactly what you're getting into. And know that you will be the best version of yourself. You will be responsible, you will be punctual, you will compromise, as long as it doesn't go against your ethical beliefs. And something I found out was that the director I was auditioning for, who was there that day, was banned from all TV productions in Cyprus. I know this for a fact because I networked with the president of the Actors Union in Cyprus and told him about my experience with this audition, and he said, it's quite good that you didn't end up going for it, and also you had that gut feeling, you didn't really feel good about going in there. And because, you know, he's had a lot of sexual harassment cases, and I don't think they've publicized any of it. Like, I don't think they've published the documents, but I know that the union has them. So he's harassed a lot of Cypriot actresses here. It's a well-known fact, and that's why all TV productions in Cyprus have banned him from working. And I know that in the audition, one of the camera operators asked him, would you consider going back to Cyprus? And he said something along the lines of, Cyprus is a phase that has ended for me, like a circle that has ended and has finished for me. And back then I thought he was just trying to look out and seek out different options in Greece. But what I realized was that he had no other choice but to escape. So he's currently working with a well-known cast. He's got a contract with Alpha Channel. He's with Kappa Studios, which is Karagiannis' production. So he's in a good team, essentially, that's there to protect him. above all costs. And I think regardless of how successful or how much we want to support a series that has well-established actors in it, we have to kind of look into who we're supporting at the end of the day, mainly because Me Too has been a movement that is largely taking place this time around in Greece. I think it's ridiculous to go out and blame and have all these actors who harassed women go to jail. These actors that we've known for 20, 30 years on Greek television, and yet we're letting newcomers come in. I do understand that it's a very sensitive issue. I do understand that men in this industry were probably made fun of from a young age, probably had issues with women, maybe were the nerdy guys from film school who didn't get around and meet girls, and maybe suddenly acquiring money and power and affluence made them feel that they suddenly had some sort of value from a woman, which I think is upsetting, because as a woman as well, when you're supporting the casting couch mentality and you're going with a man because he's a director or because he's famous, you're kind of making him feel that that's his worth and that's his value, and you're not just sleeping with him because he's a person that you might be interested in. So I do think it works both ways, but I do want to mention that it's really essential that we know what we're going into. And if there's anything I learned from my master's degree, especially when I graduated, the president of the, I'm not sure if he was the head of the university, but he was, I think, or the head of law, vice principal. He mentioned that, know that regardless of what you're getting into, make sure that whatever choices you make in your legal career, that they do not go against your ethics. And I think that's such a powerful message to send, especially because everyone who was graduating from their master's that year didn't just come back from like an entertainment law whole year of study. People were studying criminal law, people were studying environmental law, corporate law. And it's so important that regardless of the amount of money you make, and not just in law, but in any type of work, that you don't do anything that goes against your own interests. And that's something that interests me a lot, mainly because, just to go back for a moment, I don't want to mention names because she does not want to establish herself. There's a lot of Cypriot actresses who are afraid that they're never going to work again. So even though it's a well-known fact that this particular director is a sexual predator, Cypriot actresses are worried that if they speak out, they'll never work. And this particular one mentioned not a sexual harassment case, but an emotional abusive case, which was that he was interrogating her during an erotic scene, telling her that she has to kiss the other actor more passionately, and she has to do this and she has to do that, and he just made the whole situation very uncomfortable for her. And then he started making fun of her and telling her, what kind of acting school did you finish? Like, did you even go to acting school? Did you even study acting? What's this performance? Which is awful. And it made me realize that, usually there's an intimacy coordinator on set, making it a lot more comfortable for actors to work together, especially in such scenes. So I suppose that's non-existent as well in Greece and Cyprus. But it's just, it's a very kind of tricky sort of thing, because an actor's instrument is their body. It's not a musical instrument the way a musician would have a musical instrument, or it's not like a paintbrush and a canvas the way an artist would have one. It's actors use their bodies. So if an actor doesn't feel comfortable with something, they should be allowed to speak out about it. And the last message I want to send out is that regardless of where you are based, whether that is in Europe or in North America or Asia or in any part of the world, at any stage you are in your career, the most important thing is that you access your star power. And that is the self-belief that you are the ultimate version of yourself today. And that regardless of how much influence you have on a social scale or on a public scale, that your success depends largely on your decision making and the way you interact with people, and not being afraid to ask for what you want, to ask for a specific clause in a contract, to have a few demands. I don't like the word demand because I think especially for women it comes off as, you know, oh, they're being difficult, they have all these demands, which is not the case. It's just a type of self-belief that you know what your value is, even if you haven't worked on a professional set before, even if you don't have an acting role, even if you're currently out of work. Just the self-belief that, you know, you stand your ground and you know where you are and you know who you are. So I just don't want to make it too long, but that's just something I'd like to share. Hope you enjoyed watching. I don't make videos that often, mainly because I've had a really difficult year. In fact, today I just finished filming a movie, which was quite exciting because it's the only movie I've worked on during my time in Greece and Cyprus. There have been no movie auditions, no film auditions. So this is actually a film/musical opera. And I also had a singing role. So I just love the fact that I came all the way back and I started living in Cyprus for the first time, which I've never lived before. And what's great is that I had the opportunity to work on a film in Greek, which is my second language. But also I was given the opportunity to have a singing role, which is something extremely new to me. So along with auditioning for TV roles and you know, doing this musical, it just makes me realize that, you know, being in a different part of the world can completely change your perspective on what it means to be an industry player in the film and television industry, and maybe the entertainment industry as a whole. So that's quite exciting. So I'm just gonna leave it over there, and hopefully I'll be making a video on new updates. I just want to mention I recently conducted an interview via Zoom with Hellenic TV in London. They air in Cyprus as well, and I'll probably try and post the link in the sidebar so you can have a look at that. So thank you so much, and hope everyone has a really good time and keeps creating.